Hello there. Now, on top of the Southall incident today, here we have a theme park enjoyed for years by parents and children alike, and we can't keep the violence and knife crime out of it. Here's what the Met Police said about it. Police were called at 2:36 p.m. on Thursday the 22nd of August to reports of 2 injured people at the adventure park in Chessington. Officers and London Ambulance Service attended. A man was found on a nearby road with minor injuries. A second man was found in a car park with knife wounds. A third male was arrested on suspicion of grievous bodily harm. At this stage, we believe that all of the men are known to each other and that nobody else was involved. The injured parties were taken to hospital. We await an update on the condition of the man with knife injuries. We really are entering the gates of hell, aren't we? Who takes a knife to a theme park, where innocent children should feel free to run about, enjoying themselves, free from any threat of harm? But I doubt this Starmer government will be asking that particular question. So will we now need to erect body scanners all over the shop and get staff to wear stab vests all the time? I have no clue who these people were, nor what they were up to. But this, so close to ordinary people out for a pleasant day. But as so many people point out, the government is more intent on shutting down and locking up the very people who want this type of thing ended, and ended quickly. Yes, complain too much and you'll be off to the gulag, while some very nasty criminals get given the run of the streets. I would say that whoever wielded the weapon or weapons in this episode should face swift justice. But at this moment in time, I wonder if there are too many criminal social media memesters filling our jails right now. As well as the issue of physical crime becoming more acceptable by the day, especially physical crime against our youngest generations. How are we, the ordinary public, meant to deal with this? How are we meant to feel safe if the government is more intent on policing Facebook and Twitter than policing the streets? It just goes on and on and on, doesn't it? Anyway, what do you think about this? Do you think this just shows that we're descending into hell in this country and that the police have lost total and utter control? Let's have a look. From James, this is so very sad. That's absolutely right. So very sad and avoidable. If the police were on the, if the government and the police and the establishment were focused on the crimes that really matter. This has been building for so long now. It's just become so normal. I mean, this story about Chessington has been on Twitter for a while, but it's hardly made its way into the mainstream press yet. I expect they're checking with their lawyers to see whether or not they can mention it, just in case of the obvious. I can't believe that we have to endure 5 more years of this. Yeah, absolutely. We've got 5 years more of this. And I just despair where we're going. Every time I pick up the newspaper or look on the computer, all I see is the same stuff. And it seems to be getting worse and worse every day. You actually have to dig deep into the press to see stuff that would have hit the headlines only 20 years ago. Jeff, our country's out of complete control. Yeah, it's what it seems like to me. And to recover this, we're going to have to put lots and lots of proper police in place, on the ground, walking around, checking on people, knowing their communities, knowing who the risky people are and who the trustworthy people are, just like the good old days. That's what we need to get back to, proper community policing. We've just lost it. And it's just encouraged low-level crime, and now we've got county drugs lines and all this sort of thing, where people fight for their turf. I mean, hell in a handcart. Yep, that's absolutely right. I think that's where we're off to, and all aided and abetted by the wokesters out there, the hard left. This is what they want. They've been champing at the bit to get this going. They're just destroying our country. Yeah, watch what you're saying on here. Everybody should now have to watch what they're saying just in case they overstep the line. That's why I do a lot of sort of looking at what I'm going to say. I don't just go in and try and blurt it all out in one go. I might make a mistake that would get me a knock on the door. So I do try hard to avoid that, as you could well imagine. Yeah, this is a good one. What's the point of saying chat when you're not allowed to say anything? Yeah, that's a very good point. If this is where we're going, you'll soon find that people are too frightened to even get on a keyboard. But that's exactly what this government and the establishment wants. They want you all cowed. They want you all too frightened to look at your computer, let alone tap away something on social media. I'm selling everything I've got and I'm off. To hell with this. England has gone to the dogs. Well, that's what it seems like, isn't it? Trouble is that too many good people and too many people possibly with the wherewithal to go are going. And that leaves the rest behind to try and make the best of it they can. And we need the best people in this country who are integrated into this society to help bring it back into line where it should be. Not all this woke nonsense where the truth is a lie and the lies are the truth. That's where we're going. Also a stab today in Whitehall. Now that's one I hadn't heard of. Do we know anything about that one? It's just going on all the time, isn't it? Right, okay, what we need to do now is decide what sort of third world country we want to be. Yes, so there we go. That's a good question, is it? Let's have a referendum on it. Which third world country would you most like to be like? I think we're just going to make our own third world country here, because everyone else will be walking past us if we keep going at this rate. We'll become a fourth world country. I won't use the term TPLAC if anybody remembers what that meant. Yeah, and then there's the Manchester event where another 3 policemen police officers, I think there was one police female involved, were attacked when they were looking at I think it was an uninsured car, just having a look around it, and they got attacked. They managed to arrest the 3 people who attacked them, but This is just getting beyond a joke. And the police, and I'm afraid the police hierarchy and the government have brought this on the police officers because no one trusts them and no one treats them with respect anymore. Because they've been advised to go out twerking and all the rest of it and make themselves look fools, to paint up their faces and their uniforms and their cars. All I want to see is properly uniformed officers going around enforcing the law. I don't need them to be my twerking buddy. That's just stupid. Every country will become the same, mark my words. Yeah, I think that's the plan, It's a case of if we bring everyone into this country, the whole idea is to make them wealthy like us or something like that. The trouble is, it's not making them wealthy like us. It's making us poorer. And that's what's happening. GDP per capita is going down, meaning each one of us is getting poorer by the year. And we're not helping ourselves by importing crime as well. It's not like they're all criminals. I'm not saying they're all criminals, But when you bring in a fair proportion of them that are, then it just drags everyone down, and that's what's happening. Russia expanding its immigration to traditional values family immigrants. Yeah, that's what it seems to be doing. Putin put out that invite to everyone, didn't he? So there may well be people who are tempted. Maybe I might just do that. Might just take him on. Yeah. Too many smart, good people don't have kids because they don't want to bring them into this world. And that's a real pity. If you've got good, smart people, responsible people, and if they bring children into the world, they'll probably bring, on the whole, good, smart, respectable children into the world. And they'll help everything along. Oh, I've just been told by Richard to watch the film Idiocracy. Okay? So quickly look that up, Idiocracy, and put that in a tab to watch for later. English voters are smart people. Well, they are when they actually vote. When they didn't vote for this in this election, I'm not sure they were acting that smart then. I always say do vote. Just vote for the person that aligns closest to your values at the time, and you'll always get a good result. But it does take people to actually get out there and vote, but it also takes good people to stand for election. And there are lots of people who do stand for election, but because they don't stand for the main parties, they usually get overlooked unless they've got a really unique selling point, like some of the independent candidates did at the last election, if you get my drift. Yeah. Direct entry crippled the competence of the police. Yes, I would tend to agree with that. It's one of those professions where you should go in at the ground floor and learn the ropes at the local level, learning how to deal with people on a day-to-day basis, and not having one set of people that jumps above them through some fast-track promotion scheme because they are good, they pass their management qualifications. Unlike in the armed forces, for example, they have direct entry officer system but they're the ones who are, when they're operating with soldiers. They're not operating generally with the general public. Okay, so what you need in the police services, or what I would rather call the police forces, is the ability to work your way up and understand the area you're policing and understand how this works. It's really important, I think. Better switch that on. Thank goodness I decided not to have children because of the Cold War. How thankful I am. Yeah, I'm not so sure about that personally, because we do need people. We do need youngsters. We do need children to come through to become the politicians in this country of the future, and the police, the army, the shopkeepers, and all the rest of it. But the reason we're having this massive inward migration surge is because the government has decided to keep GDP up by filling the gap left by not having babies with newcomers into the country, and that's a problem. Yeah, we should also be training new priests in this country, not the woke ones we got at the moment, in the main. Yeah. Is there light at all at the end of this? I don't know. I'm hoping there is, and I'm hoping it's not the proverbial light of the train coming down on us at express speeds. we have got to have hope in the future that we can turn this round and return to some sanity and some sanity of what we had before. Only look back a few years and what we've lost in culture and politeness and all the rest of it is unbelievable. When I was a kid, I was brought up to the little old lady gets on the bus. You give her your seat because I'm strong and I'm fit. That is almost frowned upon these days. There is a light at the end of the tunnel, though. But it's an old man on a bike. Oh, right. This is a good one. Apparently you can't progress past a certain level unless you've grasped on a colleague. I'm assuming that's talking about the police. Yes, what I want the police to do is not worry about who has grasped, but if there is a bad apple in the barrel, they need to be grasped. They need to be got rid of. And that is the job of the recruitment process, the training process and the management process. But when you've got woke targets where you've got to meet certain criteria, then you're going to end up with more bad apples because you're looking at the wrong attributes of the people you're recruiting. You're looking at the wrong things. You're not looking for people who are honest. You're looking for other things like the colour of their skin and their sexual preferences. And that's a real big problem. We need people with honour and honesty throughout the police force. In fact, they should be the best of us, not just a diverse sort of semblance of what we are, because if they are, that would mean then 10% of them are going to be criminal. If you make the police reflect society, that's exactly what you will get, isn't it? The same proportion of criminals in the police as you got outside. And that's what we don't need. The last place we need criminals is inside the police forces. Oh, there's a comment. I still do that now. I'm assuming that's giving your seat up to the little old lady who comes onto the bus or the train. Yeah, that's what we should all be doing. Treating people with politeness and respect. And that, I remember talking to an old guy years and years and years ago. He said, I don't understand all this political correctness. Can't we just be polite to one another? And I thought, yeah, you've just about summed it up. Political correctness is a way of sort of forcing people to be polite, but it doesn't work. Just let people respect each other and be polite to them. Yeah, we need to reset our values. Reset them back to politeness and respect for other people. And you have to earn respect. It's not given to you or forced out of people. Our identity is being taken away. Yes, it is being taken away. It's being replaced by a whole new culture where crime is rife. And that wasn't our culture, and it should not be our culture. But there you go. Yeah, if someone from 40 years ago had a little portal and they could see what's going on in this country right now, do you think they would believe it? I wouldn't have. I'd have thought things would be getting better, not descending like they are at the moment. All our moral thoughts, everything is all just gone. The hope is in Trump. Well, that could well be for America. The one thing about Trump is that he governs for America. So if something happens around the world, he's thinking to himself, how is that going to impact good or bad on the US? and he acts accordingly. That's what our politicians should be doing, exactly the same thing. But our lot are so woke, the first thing they say is, what can we do and who can we spend the taxpayers' money on to make me look good as an enlightened person in this new woke world? Thank you to Sile Alpin for your donation. Thank you very much. Yeah, there's a long comment left that Richard's trying to whisper in my ear to say, but it's too long for me to remember. So, but from the gist of it, it's very good. And it's the ending is something along the lines of, are our people being the people who dissent to all of this being sent to prison for re-education by a certain demographic that controls the prisons these days? Yeah, we'd all like those days again, but those days that's considered. But these days that's considered boring and weak. It's insane. Yeah, you could look back and say it was boring and weak only because today we've got all the fast food, the fast entertainment and all the rest of it. Back in in my younger days, you had to make your own entertainment. And that was far more challenging and it was actually quite exciting at times. So, no, too much computer time and all the rest of it. How many times do you go into a restaurant or wherever and you sit there and there's a family all texting? They're not texting each other or even talking to each other. They're off on the sort of a jaunt of their own. There's no interaction there. We need to get back to human contact again and human respect. Oh, I'm just trying to find... Sentence for shouting at a police dog. Yeah. If that's what's happening, then we really have lost the plot. Well, we haven't. The government has lost the plot, and so have the Crown Prosecution Service. But in this case, I'm just wondering, were they advised? The person, you shouted at a police dog, you'd better plead guilty to get a lesser sentence, or you might get let off for a first offence. Is that the sort of thing they're being told? Then they plead guilty and end up in clink for whatever number of months it is. Living in an age of deceit and corruption. Yeah, it's getting worse. The more you every single day, you open up your email account or your telephone or whatever it is, and people are trying to phone you up to get you to part with your money. They're trying to email you to click on a link to part you from your money, whatever it is. And it's going on and on and on. People have got no pride in themselves. These people have no pride in themselves at all. If they put as much work into a normal job as they did in trying to scam people, they'd probably earn more money. All right, GB News has reported on this story. Right, okay, so it is getting out there, thank goodness. We need people to be aware of this constant level of knife crime. It should be the biggest subject on the politicians' in tray. It should be the biggest pile of work they've got, and the police. Everything should be aimed at this now. It is getting into epidemic proportions. Why are there not metal detectors on the entrance to a theme park? We had to walk through one every time we entered or left our hotel on holiday in Egypt. Now, I'm not sure if they have got knife detectors actually for the theme park. I don't know. But one of these guys was found in the car park, so it may have been just outside. But it's still too close for comfort for me. I don't know the details, but it's still too close for comfort for me. It's just that I'm wondering about whether we're going to end up with a knife detector on every corner of every street. Then it goes off when you've got a metal pen in your pocket and you find yourself frog marched down to the police station for a dangerous pen. Oh, hi Jeff, greetings from South Africa. Is it all nice and sunny down there still? And how's life? I gather it's interesting at the moment for some people, but I hope it gets better and safer for everyone concerned. More stabbings? How's that possible? We denounced anyone willing to do something about it. How could this still happen? Yes, that's what we've done, isn't it? Anyone who wants to do anything about it takes statistics to find out the sort of people doing it, and are there silenced because it might be racist or something along those lines. We need to be finding out the reasons who and the reasons why, and then attacking the problem head on. As I've said before, if this was down to some skin-headed white football hooligans, what do you think would be happening right now? So it can't be them doing it, can it? Oh, thank you again to I.Fleur for your contribution. Thank you. Yes, I'm afraid it is another knife attack as well. Oh, here we got one. United Knifedom. Is that our new name? The United Knifedom. Appears like it, doesn't it? Oh, here we go. Yes, I remember these. Entertainment with 2 cans and a long piece of string. your mobile phone of the day. Yeah. But that taught you a bit about science, didn't it? What's this? Being polite allows space for passive aggressiveness. Actually, being polite is exactly not being passive aggressive. Being polite is just being polite. Being passive aggressive is not being polite. When will the madness end? Dark times ahead for us all. Yep, we may well have to go through some dark times in order to recover ourselves and recover our sanity and realise that things have gone drastically wrong. It really is going to take an effort, though. We can't just sit back and hope that someone else will come along, because if you wait for someone else to come along and do something, someone else might come along and do something, but it might be the someone else you don't want, and they might not do what you want. They might do something completely different. We've got to take charge. We've got to start engaging with politics properly. And that's the only way ahead for us, I'm afraid, at the moment, outside of all becoming Christian as well. Yeah, so, as Richard says, get back to church. Jeff Taylor, it's not rule by consent if you don't register to vote. Not participating in the system is the solution. Not participating in the system means not using a bank, not using the shops, not calling the police if your car gets stolen, not buying anything, not selling anything. We need a society, so we've got to build a society somehow, and it really is important that we help shape society into a nice, polite, respectful and prosperous society that people don't take advantage of. That's up to us. Literally, Mr. Orwell wrote a book about this. Oh, didn't he just? And it was a good instruction manual that everybody's got a copy of in their top pocket up in the hierarchy of the establishment. And they're leafing through it, goes, I missed that bit. And we got to implement chapter 15 today, or whatever it is. What a bunch we've got. We should be reading it as well. We should be reading it and pointing out what they're doing. And saying, you're just copying this. Why are you doing this? Well, I'm on getting to the end of my throat at the moment, so I'll have another look and just see if there's any update that a bit. Let's just see what... Oh, it's going too fast again. I've got to slow it down. Yeah. Hey Jeff, with all the sentencing being reduced because of the prisons are being full, is it possible for the imprisoned right to be let out early too? No, it's not going to happen. They have to be made an example of, and that's exactly what's happening. And I heard one politician or one policeman saying just that. We've made the space, and you're in that for your sentence. We'll keep clearing the others out and keep you there. They are, in effect, political prisoners of a sort. They are there to make an example to the rest of us. What they're not doing is doing what they should be doing, is looking at the offence, deciding what the punishment should be, and if in the past they'd handed out a 2 weeks or a 6-month suspended, that's what they should have been doing. With a warning that if you do it again, next time it will be heavy. People will get the message. You don't have to be overzealous in everything. And to be honest, I keep saying it, those riots were nowhere near as bad as the ones in 2011. So, yeah, I don't think you'll be seeing them let out anytime soon. But it'll be interesting to see what the historians in a couple of years make out of it all, and all the legal eagles start looking at it and questioning what this government was up to. We need to make sure that a certain Keir Starmer never gets elevated to the House of Lords, for example, don't we? You should all be reading the laws and customs of the Constitution. Yeah, we have an unwritten constitution, as I've said before, which does change slowly over time as laws are written and repealed. But there are some basic human rights laws which we should all follow. I mean, we all know what's wrong. We all know that knifing people is wrong, don't we? We all know that hurting people is wrong, don't we? We all know that stealing is wrong, don't we? Why can't people be brought up like that? But it seems that our schools are failing us, aren't they? Must be. If people are going, adults that were in school 10, 15 years ago are going around doing these things, then something's gone wrong with society in the education system, hasn't it? The Liberals and the Liberal establishment will not tolerate any dissent. And that is the truth, isn't it? We are here, we are in charge. This is the post-democratic age where we deserve to tell you how to live because we know better than you. That's exactly how they feel. That's exactly what they think. It's scorched into them by leftist propaganda. It's about time we got rid of the lot of them. I just detest their overbearingness. Sorry, I go off on one now and again. And it's satanic as well. Here we go. Innocent until proven guilty. Yes, actually, it's sort of... I don't know whether anyone knows this, but there are a lot of what are called sort of statutorily guilty laws on the books. Because in the old days, being a criminal meant you had to have some intent to do so. But for example, I know it's not exactly a criminal offence, but speeding. If you go over the speed limit, you get fined. You don't have to show intent that you went over the speed limit. Just the fact you did gets you done. And it's like being anything else. There are loads of laws like that where just doing it with no intent to have actually have caused any harm or done anything, you get done. And the government would love to bring in a lot more of those laws because it's far easier just to say you're statutorily guilty, so off you go. And that's a dangerous position to be in. We should be innocent until proven guilty. And get proven guilty in a court of law by your peers, a jury. And that's another interesting discussion to have about juries. Did you know that juries, when they're sitting, part of their job, or half their job, is to look at the establishment that is bringing the charges and make sure that actually they're acting within their remit of justice. And they can throw a court case out in the face of all the evidence if they think that the defendant is being mistried or mistreated in any way. That's a power that juries have. They don't have to be directed by judges, although judges won't tell you that. Oh, just speed this up a second. Social media is to blame, nothing else. I'm not so sure about that. It's how we use social media. And it comes once again down to politeness and respect and integrity. When you go online and you see some of the stuff that goes on and some of the comments and the sheer vitriol that people are quite prepared to pour on each other over social media, you just wonder what's entered their mind. There should be a sort of a check on social media. It should say you post your comment and you're not allowed to, it's not going to go anywhere for an hour, and you have to come back and reread it and resend it before it goes. Because a lot of people would change their mind once they've gone away and read something about the subject and gone, oops, then come back. It's just a lack of self, of reserve, self-control. They go off on one. They get angry very quickly. Now, is that the fault of social media? I'm not so sure. So, it appears that the 77th Brigade have sent me a couple of quid, and they're very interested in my opinions. Should I be scared? But thanks very much, 77th Brigade. Yes, everything failed in England. Might as well have a pint in America. Yes, may as well. Or is that going to be a punt on America? Yeah, we are sort of descending slowly, aren't we? And it's not helped by this government starting to destroy the economy slowly but surely by 1,000 cuts as they try to socialise everything. They'll just take all drive and all ambition out of people as they say, well, if you don't do this, we'll give you this for free, but someone else will pay. And the bills just get longer and longer for the few that do work. And the national debt goes through the roof. You just couldn't make it up, could you? Yeah. Yes, I'm going to wind up now, but I just want to leave you with a thought. If people feared God, they wouldn't stab people or hurt people because they'd be too frightened to. And that's the thought for the day. Anyway, it's been great reading your comments, and thanks very much for your input and your and all your comments and the chat. So I'll leave you all to it. I'm going to go and have a beer, and I wish you all a great evening. Thank you very much.